Welcome to my channel. My name is Melanie Ferguson and you are watching Southern Crush at Home. Listen, if you're new here, welcome. I am so glad to welcome you to my channel. I'm so honored that you decided to stop by today to check it out. Listen, if you like what you see, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button as well as the notification bell, that way you won't miss a single video that I put out. Today we're going to take a Dollar Tree pizza pan, yes, a regular pizza pan, one of my favorite things to work with, and turn it into a cookies tray for Santa. It is just like a little treats for Santa. It's got a place for milk, cookies, and reindeer snacks. I absolutely love that. Let me know below in the comments if you love it too. In the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy watching the video. You guys, Christmas is coming, and you know what that means. Santa's gonna want his milk and cookies. So we're gonna make him a really special cookie platter using this Dollar Tree pizza pan. So I just prepared my surface by putting some of that press and seal wrap down. I absolutely love that stuff. I'll link it below so that you have a place that you can grab it. And I'm just adding a little bit of red acrylic paint. This isn't any special paint. You can use chalk paint. I just used acrylic paint on this. It's just a craft paint. And I'm putting it on with a foam brush from the Dollar Tree. It took a couple of coats, I will say that. And you just want to work in a circular motion so that it's fairly smooth when you put it on. Once you have your couple coats on and you've dried them in between, speeding it up with this little heat dryer, you will have the base for your cookie tray. I guess we're going to call it a cookie tray, even though it doesn't have handles. Now you could add handles, but I did not add handles. This is more like a cookie platter to me. You're just going to continue to dry it until obviously it's completely dry. Now you can use gloves if you want. I'm touching up like the very like tiny edges, just making sure that every single part is covered. Actually, I'm lying to you. I'm going over it a third time. So apparently this took 3 coats, you guys. I've slept since I made this project. Just keeping it real here. So you just want to make sure that you have a solid covered pizza pan. And I guess since it was not chalk paint, I had to go over it like 3 times. And that's fine, but you kind of can see it much better how I'm using it in a circular motion. And just kind of keeping the lines as smooth as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just nice to keep it as fairly smooth as possible. When I tilt it around, you can kind of see in the sheen that there is very few brush marks. This is kind of key. That is why I used the foam brush instead of, say, a chip brush, which I normally would use. But you can grab this foam brush in a pack of like 6 at the Dollar Tree, no problem. And again, I'm just picking up the heat gun and using it because it's much faster. Now for this project, I'm using a Magnolia stencil. This is the Treats for Santa stencil, and I will link it below so that you can check it out. I do sell these. It is a super fun company to purchase stencils from, or even make a little extra holiday cash. So I just covered up where I used the red with some more press and seal, which made my surface totally clean again. I thought that was pretty brilliant, right? All right, so this is a brand new stencil for me. When I'm peeling it back, I'm gonna want to what they call fuzz it. And I have since invested in one of their green towels, but before that I just had these reusable paper towels. They're actually cloth, and I used those to go back and forth and get a little lint on the backing of our sticky sheet. Right here, I am adding a little bit of the Magnolia Clear Wax. I will link that below. It's just a really great way to prep your surface so that your stencil will not take up the paint when you peel it off. So the most important part is to get your stencil super centered where exactly you want it. So I stood up to make sure I got this absolutely centered on here, and then you're just going to want to kind of press down where all the little openings are so that you make sure. This is the chalk paste in the Brilliant White. I thought that the white would really pop against the red, and I'm using one of their little squeegees to apply it. So easy to do. I'm just putting some drops of it in certain areas just to kind of try to keep us moving in a singular direction and not have to go back and forth over the stencil. it's best practice to kind of just go over it once. It's really hard for me because the artist in me wants to go over it like 100 times. You see how I'm going over it again. You do want to make sure that you've gotten all the opening mesh areas covered with the chalk paste. Now, this is the super fun part. I call this the peel, squeal, and reveal. So I'm peeling it for you, and the way that you squeal is you tell me in the comments below, ooh and ah, and how much you think it is fabulous. And then we're revealing the stencil design. Now I'm putting it in a little water bath here, you can see, and that's gonna get it really wet and clean for the next use, because these can be used like 15 or 20 times. They're totally reusable stencils, which I love that part. Now I thought it would be fun and whimsical to add some polka dots. So I'm taking the bottom of this pouncer or spouncer and dipping it into my paint. I put a little bit of the paste over here on the press and seal, and I'm using it as a palette and just kind of going around. Now I started on all four corners, top, bottom, left, and right, and then I'm filling in between. So for the final dots, I wanted to make some different sized dots in between the larger dots from the pouncer end. So I'm using this Magnolia pen, and I will link those below as well. But they work really well to make super cute. They're just like little chalk paint pens, just to make super cute whimsical dots in between the larger dots. So in case we rushed through that, I did put large dots at the top, the bottom, like noon and 6, and then like 10 and 3, so that they were spaced apart evenly. And then I went back and filled in with the other dots. Now I'm going to prepare our space for the resin. I just took 2 Dollar Tree cookie pans and this press and seal again. And then I put these 2 little flower pots. You see, that's what we used for paint pour before. And used it as like a little height, a little place to set the pizza pan. Now I'm mixing our resin. It's 2 parts. I will link some really good resin below for you as well. And then I'm gonna stir it up. One part is the resin and one part is the hardener. You definitely want to use some gloves for this because it can get quite messy. But once you have it mixed, trying not to over mix it. I don't want a million bubbles. I'm not mixing it as fast as this looks, I promise, because you don't want to mix it so fast. You have a billion bubbles. But I'm just gonna pour this out over on the pizza pan. Less is more. You can always add more resin if you don't have enough. It's just harder to wait for it to drip off if you have too much. So this is pretty fun to see the resin kind of go back and forth as you work it around the base of the pizza pan. And you don't have to do this step. I just love the shiny look that it gives it at the end, and it kind of really makes it look like a store-bought finished piece versus just leaving it the matte painted color. I'm just helping it over the edge with the craft stick. Once it gets in the corners as a little puddle, I'm just kind of helping it over the edge again with the craft stick, just to kind of get full coverage of this resin. At the end of the day, you want all of this puddling to be gone. So once I get all that I need off onto the edges, I'm going to start letting it drip off the sides of the pan itself. And then I'm going to ultimately go back and clean up the edges with the popsicle craft stick, just to make sure there's no drips on the edges. The key is to get a really good, thin, light coat with no drips. And here we go. We're going to just tilt it and let the excess drip off the edge of the pizza pan. This takes a little patience, but it's actually very, very satisfying when you're doing it yourself. And you can see right there through the lighting, the shininess that you're getting already from the resin, just having added it. I love, love, love that transformation. So once you have it all on there, you're going to hit it with the little bit of heat gun. This is going to be where you will see the little bubbles that are there will pop and you'll get a super smooth finish. The goal is not to dry it. The goal is to set it, which is to pop all the bubbles and get it started to dry. You're going to dry this overnight, and once it's dried thoroughly, you should have the cutest pizza pan ever. This is how it turned out. I absolutely love the sheen of the resin. It looks wet, it looks great, it looks ready to use for Santa. I think he will be super pleased. Such a great way to start a new tradition too for your family. Let me know what you think, and Merry Christmas!